From Hong Kong, this is Mea Culpa, the Lessons Learned from Startups podcast, based on the Postmodern Conference, where founders, investors, lawyers, and mentors share their stories about working on, with, or for startups. I'm Jeffrey Brewer, and today we talk to Yue Wong, a Hong Kong University of Science and Technology graduate that straight out of university started SensBeat, a OMV app and Yue Dong app that raised $1 million while still in college. Welcome, Leo.
Thank you for having me.
Leo, you were still in college and you were doing a startup and you were able to raise $1 million. A lot of listeners probably will be now very jealous and will probably want to hear, how did you do that?
So in hindsight, I'm also thinking that luck and hustling, mostly hustling, I would say in the first phase, because like I do not know anybody, VC world, the fundraising world. So just gotta, knock on doors, keep knocking it until someone replies. So there's just a lot of factors in it. I think mainly because like we had a pretty good team, and then we were able to build something quite interesting at that time, and then just keep building the products to the point that where we get a little bit of traction. And when we don't have money, then we thought, oh, we need money, so where to go. And one way is to monetize the product that we were building, but it was a bit difficult because it's not yet ready to be monetized. And then so the other way would be, oh, okay, there's something called fundraising, like asking for someone to invest. So that's how it all got started.
So, but you're still a student, right? And
Yeah.
how did you come up with the idea to start a startup? Because was it like an internal university program, or was it something that was annoying you and nobody had something that you wanted to use, or how did that idea came to fruition?
So the idea came to me, I think, when I was year two. Yeah, year two, second semester, and then where I was, in an exchange to Spain. And then when I go to, when I went to different places, there, I often listen to like different songs. So I was thinking, oh, it would be awesome to kind of share to my, excuse me, it would be awesome to share with my friends, like, what I'm seeing, and, with the music that I'm listening to in one clip. So that's how the idea came. But at that time, because I don't have technical background, so I would need a team be able to kind of pull this off. So I was like drawing prototype and stuff, and it was a very like interesting beginning. And then coming back to my uni, was able to find some people, like-minded people to work together. It took me some time to find, like, co-founders, so-called, like, actually like quite a few months, because nobody really wanted to join, because it's like very risky. And then like working with this like pretty crazy stupid person, like, like what I'm getting myself into, they would be like, so yeah, so that's how it all got started.
Okay, then because you had that idea
Mm.
as a founder,
Mm.
at that point you reached out to professors at your school, or did you at that point go into a program that they already had for students to become acquainted with something that's has something to do with entrepreneurship, or was it just yourself trying to hustle your way, reach out to people who you knew already in university?
Yeah, I think at that time it was mostly myself that went to different places, because I don't think the like the entrepreneurship kind of atmosphere was that strong at that time. And so I didn't like bother to do much, like, and so I just think, oh, maybe I should just like do it on myself, like do it by myself, to go to um you know people and friends to tell them about the idea, and then to find people that can work on it together. It was a super interesting moment because in the uni, it was there was a lot of work, so we need to decide whether to like stick with. We have to decide on one thing. Like it's impossible to kind of on one end is like handling the schoolwork plus the startup-ish at that time when it's like not yet formed company and stuff. So we had to decide, and so we were thinking, oh, like this is a great opportunity, very interesting, and so I persuaded the other two co-founders to join. And at that time, yes, I did go to different professors, but that's mainly on like some a bit of like the technical stuff and a bit on the marketing stuff. And they were very helpful because I think they might be thinking, oh, like not many people are doing it, so would be interesting to see what these students like be able to do. So then I just kept talking and then joined different competitions as well, because at that time I was thinking, oh, that's like the one of the very few ways that I could learn more from the people who have done that, and as advisors and so on. So that's how we gradually got kind of started. And then another story is like we basically skipped one whole semester of classes because when we decided that we go for the startup kind of direction, then we have to like somehow somewhat like stop the schoolwork. So we just went to the first class, the midterm and finals, and managed to get a pass and continue to work on our stuff. And then gradually we interview more people and then get more people involved, and then to grow the team bigger and bigger. And then for the marketing team, for the technical team, and the design team as well. And then joining, and then we were looking for some other ways to kind of expand and join and find more users. So we were joining like incubations and so on. So yeah, so I think there's an incubation program in Hong Kong called Cyberport, and it's an interesting story where when we were still in college, and then basically they were saying that they were saying, oh, we have not accepted like a college team before. I need to double check if you guys are like able to eligible to join. So yeah, I was quite surprised. I'm not like saying they were not doing their job, but it's just like, oh wow, like why is that? And then like I kept persuading them like, hey, like we like students, but then we're not actually like students because we're not like going to classes and so on. We have a lot of time in like working. We put a lot of time in and effort into this. So eventually they did let us join.
Yeah, that was also the time that I first met you at Cyberport.
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
Just for the listeners, what exactly is a OMV app and Yue Dong app?
Yeah, so at first we were like a tool where people can select the portion of music to be put on a picture to share to different social media. So that was like the first version of the products, and then gradually it morphs into more sophisticated one with like video and stuff. So basically, is OMV's stands for like oh my video. So basically, we were thinking like what should be the name. So we ended up this like OMV, OMG. So basically it's similar to that, but it's attaching like a portion of music to videos and then forming a social network in itself. It's sort of like the early version of like TikTok actually, where people can just record a video or import a video that they have and then add the portion of music that they like, and then they can share it in the network itself or in different social media.
Okay. As I said, Cyberport is here in Hong Kong a well-known incubator / support program. You get some reimbursement schemes, you get some workspace, that
Right.
kind of thing. But you were still a student, as you said.
Yeah.
How was that at that point also looked upon by your friends and your family? And what were they thinking? Like, he's what is he doing? Like he should be studying. He should be working on his future. What was their reaction?
Yeah, so I didn't tell my parents at first, because I was thinking I was not sure like how much work that is gonna be, like how effortful that is gonna be. So I thought, maybe I should just try first. And then like for a period of time, like my mother, she was asking me, hey, like, you have not been like going to, schools and classes, like what's going on? And then I show her that what I'm doing and stuff. So for my family, they are like very, very supportive. This is like one of the um things that I'm super, super grateful for. And they're still like very supporting, like to this day, like all the way from the start to now. And then they're like, oh, if you are doing something that they're saying that if I'm doing something that I think would make an impact to some other people's life, and generally like positive, then they would be like very supportive of me. And for my friends, yeah, like they are like very supportive as well. Like, in the early days, if I need some like copywriting help, some like friends will help. And then if I need some like polish on in testing of the products, they will be the first to really like, hey, I can help to test. And they were throwing out, oh, like, these are the list of bugs that I find. So yeah, like this is something that I super really grateful for.
Okay. And then you're still in college, you're getting some funding, you're building a team. We even went on a trip to South by Southwest.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
That was also an
A lot of
interesting trip.
barbecues.
A lot of
A lot of
barbecues in
free barbecues.
a lot of barbecues in
Oh,
Austin, Texas.
yeah.
What were, for instance, at that point also for a program like the Cyberport, your key takeaways from using a kind of like an incubator program like that helps you to grow your company? What your key takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think there are two on top of my head. The first one is definitely like the financial side, because they provide like a portion of their reimbursement. So that definitely helped. Especially we had a little bit of funding in the beginning. So that would kind of increase sort of the runway. And second is the exposure that they're helping their portfolio companies. So I think, yeah, these two things are definitely something that we cannot get if we had not been in the program. And I think like if startups were to consider, of course, like nothing is a must, but then since it's not like too I would say like too challenging to get in, is always a good considerations if thinking about it.
Okay. Just for the perspective, what was your major at the university?
Oh, it was information system and marketing. Yeah, so it's a business degree.
Okay, it's a double major.
Yeah.
Okay. So while you were working on your funded startup, you also had to finish school.
Yeah. Yes.
How did that work out? Like was there like 25-hour work weeks or work days or what? How did that work out?
Yeah, kind of like that. So I realized like things are getting a bit out of control in the sense that I had to take a study leave. So I was going to my school and then telling them, oh, I need to take a study leave. And they would be like, oh, like why are you taking a study leave? Why do you want to take a study leave? And then I said, oh, I'm like working on this startup. This is doing pretty okay, and I want to spend more time on it. And then the staff came to me and say like, hey Leo, we only allow like people who will get employed by another company, that they can take study leave, but it seems like you are not. So they would be like, oh, so need to think of some other ways. I was like, what? Like, really? So then afterwards, I went back and then register not register company, like went back and then, to print a letter by myself, to write a letter by myself, and then to sign myself, and then to tell them that, hey, I hired myself. So, let me take the study leave. That's how I continued. I be able to take one more study leave, and then finishing some like the remaining credits afterwards, and managed to graduate.
Yeah, a good entrepreneur always knows how to hustle their way through bureaucracy in that sense. Indeed,
Yeah.
hiring yourself, writing a letter that you're going to hire this person, and you're signing it yourself. So
Yes.
that's
Just go down like, 10 minutes later. Hey, I got my letter. And this is the.
yes. Okay. So they were quite supportive of your ventures, and then of course, yeah, you still have to build a
Yeah.
startup, and you have to build a team, and you have to build a product.
Yeah.
How did you go about, for instance, I don't know, like hiring your first staff, or onboarding a co-founder, because
Mm.
that's obviously something you didn't do before.
Yeah, so I knew nothing about it. And basically, I was like reading, blogs, and was like looking at YouTube, because I had nobody to talk to about like building a company, building a business, from ground up. So I was basically, out of like um, necessity, I would say. So basically, if I think, oh, need someone to help on this side, and I would do whatever I can to achieve that. And oh, if we need someone, or some expertise in this side, and I would try to find different ways to do that. And finding co-founders definitely like one of the most difficult thing in the beginning. I would say. I think I spent like a good few months, like almost like I think 4 to 5 months, and just to find like every. Basically, I was telling every friends that I that I know that I'm like doing this. If they have friends that with like technical background, they would like to join. And like after months, they so finally found Ben, who was our CTO. And then things just get a little bit easier in terms of hiring, because the first the thing that I've learned is like the first step of like things like this is like always the hardest. So I was like reminding myself, oh, like, I need to, really do this, and afterwards it will be, easier. Of course, it's not like easier in the sense that, it's like actually easier, but then relatively. So for the hiring, then we get more like media exposure and stuff. So people starting to know us. So that helps. And afterwards, we were like, hiring through our school, of course, because like a lot of great people in our school. So we were able to like interview, and then we were also going to different college, in Hong Kong to do the hiring. It was very interesting, because like hiring when we are still in college into, in our uni and in different universities, I mean, this is one of my favorite part. We're kind of like um sort of like pretending to be like like very like a mature kind of company to do like, show and stuff. So like crashing the classrooms and all that. But yeah, those are like very fun moments.
How did you at that point indeed prepare? For instance, like Ben, your co-founder, did you at that point just gave him 50% equity out of the bat, or like how did you get either advice, or how did you made some errors there? I don't know in hindsight, but how did you arrange those kind of things? Like how did you arrange that? Beside, of course, that you have to like Ben, and he has to have at that point, of course, the technical know-how to help you out on his journey. But how did you do the logistics parts of that corporation?
Yeah, so for starting the company, it was not too difficult. But then, like you said, like the arrangement of like the structure of the company. So basically, we were just like googling the kind of like fair shares of the company. And then, it was not too difficult, because it's like quite common to do, to do that, kind of by default. So we were able to kind of agree on things very quickly, because we really want to build, start building and really like contributing what we can do for the company. So after we basically incorporating the company with the right structure, and then we immediately go back to what we do, and then gradually we learn more about like how the cap table work, how the like fundraising work, how to plan for the next fundraising, and the milestones that we wanted to achieve, and these sort of things we gradually through our own research, and also because of the like media exposure, and people also believe in us, because we genuinely want to make this happen and want to learn as much as I can, as much as we can as well. So people really care about us. We're like super grateful about this. So then we try to learn, as we go, basically, and then we made a fabulous amount of mistakes in hindsight. Yeah.
Where did you had like advisors for that, or did some of your investors advised on that,
Mm.
or because like when you're listening to you right now, it almost sounds like there was no cliff investing period for either of you as co-founders. So if at that point in the first 6 months something happened, then at that point the company would be stuck with a shareholder that's not doing anything
Mm.
or not in the picture anymore. So how did you handle that, and did you got advice on that, or was it the investors that gave you advice on that?
Yeah, so a few different channels. Like one is definitely our investors, because they like really care, not only care about the company itself, more like they care about the people in the company, and so they often give us, based on their experience about the structure and the fundraising this part, and of among the like the events and people that we met during the startup journey. A lot of our common friends. Yeah, they are very helpful when we have questions that we are pondering. They were very often like gave very honest feedback and advice about what we can consider doing. So that definitely helps. And I think being like relatively younger, like startup team, um b- uh, I think that in a way also that also helpful, because we're like, really want to learn things. Maybe we're still like in um like some sort of like survival mode, because if we are not learning fast enough, then the result would be like catastrophic. So basically we are like going to different places, like the startup events, or like pitching session and so on. So a lot of the time our objective is really not to like our objective was a lot about um learn as much as we can in situation like those, and then to see if things that we learned are suitable for us. And then I think our teams we were really great at like picking things as we go and making mistakes, and like going trying different things, and in relatively like weird ways, in the sense that we really wanted to try, if this is something that no one is doing, maybe we should do that, like that sort of thing.
In hindsight, would you have done something different when it comes to like getting advisors or getting, I don't know, maybe in hindsight you said like I should have read Eric Ries's Lean Startup book, or in hindsight I should have like hired professional advisors, or
Yeah, I should have gone to more postmodern conferences. That's the thing that I regret the most. Um, no, like, but seriously, I think, as very commonly, for new startups and well, like new companies in general, I think we tend to look at um companies or the people that have succeeded. But one thing that I learned is that um different people have different ways to succeed. So is it becomes more important to learn from the mistakes than how they succeed, because it's just like infinite way to succeed. And this is like one of the really key things that I would do more, is to really look at things and company as like why something doesn't work, um instead only on the things that work, because we often compare by analogy that, oh, they do A and B and then they succeed, and maybe do some similar things, and then we use those examples as almost like confirmation bias to what we wanted to do. And the second thing that we or at least I kind of come to a conclusion is that like a lot of my strength are also my weaknesses, so, and vice versa, right? So have to kind of find a way to kind of balance it out. And the third one would be to really like focus on the spend a lot of time on users, like users and customers, especially in the beginning. Like nothing else matter, like just keep building, shipping features and talking with customers, and basically that's like the only two things that a startup needs to do in the very beginning. But we were doing this and that, and you can say that it's not focused enough. And now, like in hindsight, like things like that we could do better. Yeah.
You worked on SensBeat around like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you give a little bit of an explanation why there is no SensBeat now anymore?
Okay. So we, there were a lot of ups and downs. Like it's very interesting, the startup journey. So we were mostly in Hong Kong, and then we went to US for a bit to test the market, and then we realized, oh, like this is not a market that we're very familiar with, after some testing and all that, because we had investors there as well. And then we were thinking, oh, we should launch a product to try in mainland China. And because our users like kind of growing, but it's like growing like here and there, not a very targeted user base. So then we went to mainland China and to do more, and because we had investor there, our major investor actually. And then we recruited two teams there in Beijing, in Guangzhou, and we started to do more things. But then we realized, like, because knowing the users are what really matter, but we don't have like the sense of the user behavior, the product. So we started to kind of do different testing and all that, and none of that kind of really worked. So then we realized that we have tried a lot of the ideas that we had in our mind, and then we were sort of like out of ideas, and that's always like another good sign. We were talking with different people, and then the retention rate is has been like not as good. So then we started to downsize the company. It was very difficult because like almost no one left. Like we have still the core team, from the start to all the way to the end. And then we had a very strong bonding. But then because if things are like not going well, I also want to be like very honest about it. So then we had to downsize like some teammates and stuff. So we gradually knew that is sort of coming, because we like already experimented with different things, but then still like not finding one that we could sort of double down on. So after some discussion, we were saying like, if this is the case, then we should make a tough decision on this. So we were saying, oh, like we the money has been funding us, and then but then it's like almost run out of money, and the product is not going anywhere, and we don't have like a strong opinion or a strong idea about how we want it to evolve. So we thought the best decision would be like not to waste everyone's time and make a tough call on this. Yeah, so we had to like shut down and close it, and then talk with investors about it, to the So that's how it got kind of gradually stopped. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
for you at that point, what did it with you personally when you started realizing that this wasn't going anywhere and that basically the end of the runway was in sight? And what did that do to you personally? When can you still remember the moment that you started realizing this isn't going to work? We have to pull the plug here.
Yeah, that was very tough. It's very close to like a breakup because or even more so because it's like our baby, and we had much hope on it, and it was just quite hard to describe. But in a way, um, I was also telling myself that is startup is like a easy to fail, and not to try to comfort myself. But at the same time, because we had like a team, we're like a family, so that becomes and investors, so that becomes harder to kind of digest, because it's not like a one person thing. So um I spend a lot of time like thinking. I remember during those weeks, when we had to like make a decision, when we had to think about what to say to our shareholders. That period was um a lot of thinking in my mind, and like woke up very early, and then I was like already thinking about like life, and like in general, and like, oh, like what should I say, and what should I be you know communicating, and if I'm communicating like appropriately, and all that. So, and it's the first time that I encounter this big thing, because it's like a very important thing to kind of uh, need to communicate well. So that was pretty memorable moment, in the sense that I did not know how other people would respond to that, because I'm like already sad, and it's like our baby, but then I still have to tell this bad news to the people that I care about. So that's like putting salt on the wound. It's it's not as it's really not comfortable. But yeah, like if this is the tough decision that we have to make, then we have to make. Yeah.
I could tell you from personal experience, number 5 and number 6 will be way easier than the number 1. No, it is definitely what you're saying. It's very tough, and it's also not only you. It's the people that you're responsible for, your team.
Yeah.
Quite often at that point, you're also responsible for them and their families. If they already have a family, you're responsible for their rent, and I can definitely
Yeah.
understand how tough a
Yeah.
decision like that should be. So at that point, you decide you have to bite the bullet. You're going through that. You have to say goodbye to your baby. Personally, at that point, I already shared it before here, but when I had to say goodbye to my first company, I was physically sick for a couple of days, and I didn't get out of the apartment for probably over a week. But getting over that hurdle. At one point you had no office, you were sitting at home, there was no team, there was nothing there. Can you describe a little bit that moment, and when you start realizing there's another day and I have to do something else, find a job or start another company? Can you help us a little bit, shed a light on your thought process there?
Yeah. So I mean, I consider myself as happy person, as an optimistic person. So for one of the things that I learned in the SensBeat time is that, like, every shit make us stronger. So whenever I encounter like very, especially like very difficult moments, then I would think, oh, like this moment is teaching me a valuable lesson. So kind of remind myself constantly that. So I think that really helps, because um, it won't last. Like I think as entrepreneurs, being optimistic about future is actually quite important. So during those moments, although it's like very, very tough, I tend to focus on the things that I can control, and also on the things that make me and the team happy. So after we had some like tough conversations during those like few weeks, and but I think we were like on the same page that this is the right decision to make. And afterward, like you said, I actually like after like making this decision, communicating it with the team and the shareholders, then I was thinking, oh, like the futures will be brighter because the first one didn't really work, and work harder, be smarter, work harder next time. So I actually really wanted to start another thing. Of course, I also consider other options like joining another startup and all that. But then like the like internal motivation about starting a new one was like very strong as well. Like so, I didn't think too much, and then after like some time, like started a new tea brand with another friend.
T-Brand is something totally different than a scalable mobile app service. Just why did you do that? Why did you go into branding, marketing? What was there captured you to do this?
Yeah, so during those few weeks, I was like talking with different friends. They were comforting me, and at that
Comforting
time,
you with tea?
with no comforting me because SensBeat thing, and then they would be like, oh, let's think about the next move together. And one of my friend Raymond, so we were talking about building interesting thing together, and then we were thinking what are some of the things that we like, that we believe there's a market in, that we can like genuinely good we're genuinely good at doing that. And few factors converge into tea, and this is also like something good for the health as well. So basically for the tea, my hometown is in Yunnan, southwestern part of a province in mainland China. So it's also like the origin of tea, origin of pu'er and black tea. So I thought, oh, like I have a stronger sense of mission to do that. And so we started planning and executing, finding designer, and for this time it is we were thinking, oh, let's try to bootstrap this, because at that time, like the D2C kind of movement, we were like we were actually quite early on that. The D2C like is direct to consumer. So basically we were finding farmland by ourselves, going to different provinces, and then talk with the farmers and communicate, and then to ship directly from there to different parts of the world. That what we wanted to do.
And how's that going?
It's going well. It's going well. It's I mean, during this time, because of COVID, it's not as good. But then overall, it has been a profitable business. So which is good in a way that it put less burden on like optimizing the growth and so on. So we have more room and clarities in terms of our roadmap and thinking, and yeah.
Do you have investors in this business?
No.
Does like well,
I know what you want to say. Okay.
but no, but
Yeah.
it's more like, do you prefer that, or would it have been easier to build it and grow it if there were investors in there, or is there a deliberate choice? What?
Yeah. So, I think it is actually a deliberate choice by for this business, because the first one is invested by investors, and then for this one we're thinking, oh, like we could try something in this dimension, like something different, like try to bootstrap it and to see how far we can go. And the mindset are kind of different, but I actually also like the like kind of venture back, because you know, in some way it would enable the whole thing to definitely grow faster because of more resources in terms of like the knowledge from the investors, and also the capital in itself. So definitely, if we had been invested by by investors, then we would definitely grow faster. But this is a deliberate choice that we have more like thinking and decisions like that can made by ourselves, no matter if it's good or bad. But of course, like when we were trying to ask other people's advice, in the startup communities are generally quite open in helping each other. So this is like one of the things that I really love about like startup, is like people helping people and very open about the things that they encounter. And yeah, like I was like selling this product, the tea, and we're going to rented a car, going to different places in the US, and people are like generally helpful, even though they don't know like where I'm from, what I'm doing, and what I'm actually selling. They was like, oh, you should talk with him or her, and talk with those companies, and that really helped. Yeah.
What's something that's not a secret, but most people don't know about you?
Not as
Or maybe you
re-
can
re-
reveal something that is still a secret, but not after this podcast.
I like revealing secrets. Let me think. Secret. No, I'm like actually quite open about what I like. So I think the first thing that popped up in my mind is definitely swimming. Like especially last year. So I have been like swimming like I would say pretty intensely for some weird reason. Like it started like swimming. I mean, I had been like a swimmer, not a very good one, but like okay swimmer back then, when I was in high school. But for like last year I started to swim like really crazy, and like no day off, like 4 days a week swim, 3 days gym, and then join different like competitions, and luckily won a few medals, broke all my personal best time in one day. And the the feeling is just like great. Yeah. I'm not like bragging myself, but yeah, like this is something that immediately pop into my mind.
Um, if there's one thing you want people to take away from this talk, what would it be?
Really really focus in talking with customers and building the product. It's similar to the second point that I mentioned earlier, but this is something that I wish I had done like better. And there's a big and, is that the way to communicate with or to learn more from customers um can actually like is what people call like customer development. So there's a great book about that. It's called Mom Test. A lot of people may have heard of it, but I think it's like highly recommended because it would save a lot of time. So I think like going head down in like working, building stuff, and then like talking with customer, but can actually talk like in a wrong way. So the key would be to after reading that book, and the key is to really in an objective way, or let me put it this way, like to try to really validate, to see um, like what you think the thing is and what the thing actually is, because two can be very different and often is. Yeah, so being like objective and open-minded about bringing the thing to the world, and like really reality test it. I think this is like critical, because as entrepreneurs really believe in what we build, but then it's extremely like necessary to see if it actually what the world needs instead of what you think the world needs. And this is like really big difference actually. So.
I would call that biased-free validation. So I want to thank you for your valuable insights and sharing your lessons learned in startups. For the listeners, although the rating system of the podcast is hideous, if you like this Mea Culpa series, you can rate this podcast with 5 stars as a motivation for the makers. Also want to
Yes.
thank Mizuho Crowdbrain Hong Kong for being a venue sponsor of this episode, and thanks to Copy Ventures for making this series possible. This is Jeffrey Brewer. Go out and build something meaningful.